Most people get into self-help, they get super excited. It's like, oh my God, I can create my own reality. I can change any circumstance in my life. I can attract more wealth, my soulmate, transform my health, create a multi-million-dollar business. And by the way, all of that is true. But the question is, why are so many people actually struggling to materialize their dreams? Why does it feel like the more information we have around personal growth, psychology, neuroscience, how the human being operating system works, the further and further we feel like we are from achieving our goals? Well, the truth is that this is actually part of the problem. There's too much information out there. There are literally tens of thousands of books on personal development and success and wealth. And over the course of the last 10 years, I've read most of them on everything from the neuroscience of change to peak performance, law of attraction, spirituality, and consciousness theory. But it wasn't until I found these 5 books that everything changed for me. And together, they created a roadmap where I was able to go from broke self-help junkie to discovering my purpose, launching a $30 million company, marrying the woman of my dreams, finding my dream home in Puerto Rico, literally manifesting just about everything that was sitting on my vision board just 10 years ago. And if I had to go back and distill all of that information that I learned in all of those books and seminars into a real roadmap for how to change my thinking and create my reality, I'd only need these 5 books. And so I'm going to give them to you in reverse order. I'm going to save the best for last. And I guarantee that at least 2 of these books you've never even heard of. Now, let's start with number 5 on the list. Number 5 is a book called A New Earth. A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. Not Eckhart's first book. Eckhart's big coming out party was with The Power of Now. This was a game changer for people in personal growth. That book was basically the bringing to awareness this thing called the ego, the voice in your head. Before that, very few people in mainstream personal growth were really talking about the ego. Very similar to what happened over the last couple of years with Brene Brown talking about shame. We were all feeling it, but nobody was talking about it. Well, what The Power of Now did was it gave a new name, a new identity, and a set of tools, in particular, coming back into the present moment to deal with the destructive power of the ego. But in his second book, A New Earth, Eckhart takes it further. So rather than focusing on your own awakening in The Power of Now, he talks about a collective awakening in A New Earth. And I remember reading that book and feeling so much hope and so much excitement, because it wasn't just that my life could get better, but that the entire world was on a trajectory of change. He uses this metaphor where he talks about the great spiritual teachers are like a single blossom on a grassy hill. And what's happening now is the entire hill is beginning to blossom. So this was a really powerful book for me, especially with all the chaos going on in the world that seems so senseless and violent and tragic and unnecessary. A New Earth helped me see that no, this all has a purpose, and it will pass, just like the challenges in our own lives are necessary in order to teach us how to grow and evolve. These challenges are helping humanity how to get to the next level. Because I think sometimes in personal growth, you can see that, well, my life can improve, but shit, I'm stuck here on Earth where everything is cray-cray. And so what's the point of my life improving if I'm in a prison cell controlled by other people, really powerful people? And what Eckhart says is, look, you're in your own cell. You're not in a cell that anybody else has put you in, and you hold the key. And as you step out of that cell, you'll join thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, and billions of other people who are stepping out of their own cells at this incredible time in history, and you will create something new together. Don't mind the people who are stuck in the old ways. They can't really affect you. And when you free yourself, and there is an immense power rising amongst people like you, you will come together to create a new earth. And I'm like, I'll have a double shot of that. I read that book 2 times. Sometimes I go back to passages of it when I feel like I'm getting lost in the chaos of the world. I think of this book as the macro to help you stay focused on the micro of your own growth without letting the ego get too wrapped up in what's happening out there on social media, the forever wars, censorship, big pharma, corporate capture. Basically saying, don't worry about that. Just do the work on yourself and the world will change. Because a lot of us are doing the work together. So this book was super, super energizing for me. Number 4 on the list, There's not just one book, but it's a compilation. It's called the Neville Goddard Collection. It is a collection of Neville Goddard's works. Neville was one of the great mystical teachers of the 1900s. He was actually an actor and a dancer from Barbados who became a mystical philosopher and a lecturer on the law of attraction and more specifically, the power of the imagination. So the people who we think of as the great modern spiritual teachers, they actually got a lot of their teachings from Neville. In fact, Wayne Dyer gives him a lot of credit. Wayne said, I've taken extensive notes on Neville's teachings, literally put them to work in my own life. And so if you're studying modern spiritual teachers, a lot of them are actually just translating or building upon what Neville was really a great teacher of. He talked about a concept called the fourth dimension. I've done a bunch of other videos on this concept. He said that everything in the material world, everything that you experience in your third dimensional reality actually starts out in a dimension called the fourth dimension. And this is the dimension of imagination. It's a dimension of visualization. It's an energetic dimension, a dimension of potential. And he says, all ideas of all time and all solutions and everything that you want or you desire actually exists right now, right here in the fourth dimension. And as you are able to start training your mind to focus on what you want, ideas become active in consciousness or this fourth dimension. And an idea held long enough that you stay loyal to must 100% of the time find its way into the physical third dimensional space. And in my own life, Neville's teachings have been really profound. I remember years ago, I made a decision that I didn't know how, I didn't know exactly what mechanism was going to produce it, but I was going to attract $60,000 into my life from a source other than my job by the end of the year. And so this is where I really started putting this type of idea to work. It was like I had capped out my financial capacity based on what I was earning in my career. And what I was learning from Neville and all these other great teachers was all possibilities exist. And I said, okay, great. Then I'm going to make $60,000 by the end of the year from a source that is not my regular paycheck. And so I started implementing one of Neville's practices. Before I went to bed, I imagined what it would be like to have $60,000 more. I imagined what I would do with the money, the feeling of financial freedom, the excitement of actually being able to materialize the money using the techniques that Neville taught. And lo and behold, 9 months later, right before the end of the year, I received a communication from someone who wanted to buy a small part of a company that I had owned that I had completely forgotten about, that I thought was totally worthless. And they offered me $60,000 for literally what I thought was never going to produce anything for me. Right on time, literally December 27th, right before the end of the year. And it showed up in ways miraculous that I could never have imagined. And so Neville's teachings really helped to unlock the power of imagination and to help create the confidence that no matter what you want, it exists right here, right now in the fourth dimension. This book is the book that has allowed me to actually start swinging for the fences, because when I realized that all possibilities exist right here, right now in energetic form or in the fourth dimension, and by being loyal to that vision and by keeping my attention and my curiosity and my desires directed towards that vision, that what I imagine over time must materialize through the mechanism of consciousness, that the thoughts and the ideas and the action that I would take and the coincidences and synchronicities that would occur would produce the result. And that's what allowed me to go from an extra $60,000 to a $30 million business to now saying I'm going to create a $100 million company and then $1 billion portfolio of companies. And as some of you may have heard on other episodes, I'm going to run for and become president of the United States. Why? Because I know that all possibilities exist in the fourth dimension, and I've been given the tools to actually practice materializing those into my third dimensional space, thanks to Neville Goddard. And like it says in Mark 9:23, all things are possible to he that believeth. And so Jesus was giving us a preview of what great teachers like Neville taught almost 2,000 years later. So that's book number 2, Neville's collection. Number 3, The Game of Life, Florence Scovel Shinn. So Florence Scovel Shinn was a metaphysical teacher in the early 1900s. Her book, The Game of Life and How to Play It, teaches that life operates by spiritual laws. And once you understand them, you can create success, health, and happiness with ease. Now, she explains that most people struggle because they don't realize they're playing a game, and they're doing it without knowing the rules. Now, the game she's talking about isn't random. There are specific universal laws that govern success and failure. And when you align with these laws, life becomes almost effortless. And she shows how your words, your beliefs, and faith shape your reality, and how to use them correctly to win the game of life. Now, in this book, and she has several really fantastic books, there are three major ideas that I think really make Florence Scovel Shinn different. Number one, she focuses a lot on this idea that your words hold power. So literally, Shinn teaches that your words are spells, and that's why we call it spelling. And these spells, what you say, manifest into form. She says your word is your wand, and if you speak lack, you create lack. If you declare abundance, it must appear. And this is much deeper than just positive thinking. It's spiritual law in action. And that really just makes sense, right? Because whatever you speak is simply a projection of what you think. And if your thoughts are creating your reality, then that next level of materialization are the words that you speak. They're even more powerful, even more vibratory than what you think. So she says, be careful what you speak. Number two, she removes struggle from the art and science of manifestation. So unlike many self-help teachings that emphasize hard work, Shinn says manifestation is about alignment, not effort. And she teaches that when you're truly aligned with your divine path, things flow effortlessly. Struggle means you're forcing something that isn't yours. And so this is really important. She's talking about finding the path of least resistance and noticing when there's friction and struggle and knowing that that is the path that you are not to take. Modern day teacher Abraham Hicks talks about this a lot, talks about finding the path of least resistance. Number three, she treats life as a spiritual battle of faith versus fear. So this is the lens through which she says you can view life that can be productive for you. She emphasizes that the real challenge in life isn't skill, it's not intelligence, or even luck. It's whether you choose faith or fear. And what I love about that is it's a binary way to manage your life. It cuts out all the clutter of the many conversations that your mind might be trying to have with you and breaks it down into faith versus fear. Every time you choose fear, she says, you block your good. Every time you choose faith, you allow miracles. And she teaches how to actively reject doubt, fear, and negative energy so you stay in alignment with the good that's already yours. And for this, she uses things like affirmations, incantations, what she calls metaphysical treatments. And what makes Florence Scovel Shinn so unique is how she interprets scripture metaphysically. She doesn't just quote the Bible, she decodes it in a way that aligns with the law of attraction, the power of words, and spiritual alignment. So here are just a couple of examples. Scripture in Proverbs says, death and life are in the power of the tongue. Shinn takes this literally. Your words create or destroy. So she teaches that you must guard your words ruthlessly because whatever you speak, you call into being. She references Matthew 7, ask and it shall be given, seek and ye shall find. Most people think that this just means prayer. But Shinn explains that asking isn't begging, it's declaring with certainty. And she teaches that when you make a firm, spoken declaration, the universe must respond. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. That's Hebrews 11. And Shinn says faith is more than belief. It's a spiritual force that shapes reality. And when you act as if something is already done, you bring it into form. So this, again, you start to hear these themes across these great works of literature, very similar to what Neville Goddard talks about in his collected works. When you act as if something is already done, you bring it into form from the fourth dimension to the third dimension. Now, by showing how scripture supports manifestation, the power of words, and faith-based creation, she bridges the gap between Christianity and metaphysics in a way that's really, really practical and was really, really potent for me. Hey, it's David. Quick interruption to your regularly scheduled podcast episode. I want to let you know about an opportunity to go even deeper into this work together. If you have not yet, please check out the show notes. In there, we've got links to both our Mind Hack and our Whole Human Framework programs. Our Mind Hack course is an incredible framework. It's the foundation of everything that I teach on this show to help you understand how to become deeply aware of the subconscious programs that are holding you back and to teach you the technologies and frameworks to allow you to dramatically transform those belief systems and rewire your brain. Again, the Mind Hack program is our 7-day self-paced program. We also have our 12-week course, The Whole Human Framework. And we've got both of them right now bundled in a special offer for those of you who want to go big, want to go fast, and who understand that you don't want to put off another day of your full potential or holding on to unnecessary stress, anxiety, or suffering, but you want to be liberated from these habits of thinking and have a powerful living experience. Check out the link in the show notes. Jump on over to the website. Take a look at the programs and the extraordinary success stories of entrepreneurs just like you who have gone through these courses, and I will see you on the other side. And now, back to your regularly scheduled podcast episode. So this is why The Game of Life is one of my top 5 favorite personal development books, and I recommend if you've been on this journey for a while but haven't fully integrated change, you check out her book. Again, a lot of self-help books teach visualization, goal setting, and intention, but Shin's work moves you into a place of absolute certainty. And once you truly grasp that your words and beliefs create instantly, then hesitation disappears. And this is really, really important because she says it removes force and struggle. So if you've been feeling like you've been working on yourself, but things still feel hard, this book teaches you how to let go of resistance and allow things to unfold effortlessly. I really feel like it gives a practical method to apply a spiritual law because she doesn't just talk about mindset. She gives clear, simple steps for changing your language, shifting your faith, and seeing immediate results. So again, if you've been feeling like you're on the edge of a breakthrough but can't quite step over, this is the book that will push you there. Now, my second favorite book of all time is The Power of Decision by Raymond Charles Barker. And most people think that decisions are about choosing between actions, what to do, when to start, or whether to take a risk. But Barker reveals a much deeper truth. He says your life is a direct reflection of what you have decided about yourself, your worth, and what's possible for you. Now, this book, The Power of Decision, isn't just about making choices. It's about understanding that the moment you truly decide something, your entire reality begins to shift. I've talked about this in a lot of other episodes because this book has had such a profound impact on me. We actually give this book, not my book, but give this book to all of our first-year high-level coaching clients. The Power of Decision is one of the most profound personal development books of all time. And Barker teaches that the most powerful decisions aren't about external things like careers, money, or relationships. The most powerful decisions are the ones you make about yourself and your reality. He says, quote, "You are at this moment the result of the decisions you have made or failed to make." So let that sink in. Your health, your wealth, your happiness, it's all a reflection of what you have accepted as possible or not possible in your life up until now. Not what you want, but what you have decided will be yours. This means that changing your life isn't about working harder or controlling your external circumstances or hoping for better opportunities. It's about making a new decision right now about what you will accept as truth for you. And here's what makes this book different from all the others. Barker isn't just talking about willpower. He's talking about the miraculous shift that happens when a decision is made with conviction. He shares stories of people who were stuck financially, emotionally, or physically until they finally decided to accept something better. And once they did, life reorganized itself in ways that they could never have predicted. And I've talked about so many of these types of miracles or coincidences or synchronicities on other episodes, and I'm sure that you've experienced them in your own life, but Barker gives us a roadmap as to how this is actually occurring. Opportunities appear, solutions reveal themselves, and struggles dissolve, not through effort, but through the power of a firm decision. The moment you fully commit to a new decision, something powerful happens. Barker describes it as a shift in your subconscious, your energy, and even the universe itself. And here's what starts to unfold when you give yourself permission to decide. Number one, when you make a new decision, your subconscious mind instantly responds. Your subconscious doesn't argue, it follows orders. And so when you make a real decision, you're giving it clear instructions to work with. And Barker says, indecision delays the good you seek. Decision begins its arrival. Number two, the universe moves to support you. When you truly decide, people, opportunities, and ideas begin aligning with your choice. You don't need to figure out how. The how starts unfolding once the decision is firm. Number three, fear and confusion dissolve. Most anxiety comes from not deciding, not from making the wrong choice. And once you decide, the inner conflict disappears. And number 4, your energy and momentum increase. Have you ever noticed how exhausting it is to sit in indecision? Well, the moment you decide, you feel lighter, you feel clearer, and you feel more in control. But if decision is so powerful, the question is, why do most people avoid it? And Barker explains that it's not decision itself that people fear, it's what they believe will happen after. First, there's a fear of change. A new decision might require you to leave your comfort zone. Even if life isn't great, the familiar feels safe. And number 2, fear of responsibility. The moment you decide, you can't blame circumstances anymore. Many people prefer to feel like life is happening to them rather than being the one in control. And number 3, fear of letting go of the old. You cannot cling to the old and expect the new to arrive. And so people resist decision because they fear what they'll have to release. Number 4, fear of failure or fear of success. So some people fear that if they decide, they might fail, so they just avoid deciding altogether. Other people fear that success will require them to show up in a bigger way, and so they too fail to decide. Now, this book was an absolute game changer for me. After reading it, I started making all kinds of new decisions. I literally watched as miracles started to unfold in my life in alignment with those decisions. At the time I read The Power of Decision, I was just starting my coaching business, and I realized, wow, there are all these things that I've never decided. And I was watching a handful of influencers in the coaching space have big product launches, supporting each other. And I thought, you know what? I want to be a part of that group. And so I remember the specific morning I wrote down in my journal, I'm making a decision to develop even more relationships with even more amazing people doing even more extraordinary things in the world. And a few days later, I got a random phone call from somebody who said, hey, I'd love for you to come and speak at my mastermind. It's a small gathering. It's an intimate opportunity. I love your personal development work. Will you come and speak? And so I flew out to Colorado Springs, Colorado, and I ended up speaking at this event. But just before me was the opening keynote. And it was a guy by the name of Garrett Gunderson. And he gave such a powerful talk. And I thought, my goodness, I've never seen such a powerful speaker before. I would love to become a powerful speaker like that. And he was one of those guys that you just, whether you're a man or a woman, you immediately end up having a romance for. So I had an immediate bromance I fell in love with this guy, Garrett Gunderson. I went up and spoke after him, which was really intimidating. And then we had the first morning break. And they put out some snacks, and I was grabbing a snack, and he walked over and said, hey, I loved your talk on personal growth. I would love to get together sometime and understand more about what you're teaching. It sounds like really next level stuff. And so he gave me his phone number. He had to fly off to speak somewhere else. And I ended up calling him about 2.5 weeks later, said, hey, it's David Bear, that guy from the event. I was speaking right after you. He said, yeah, of course I remember you. He said, I've been thinking about your talk. Listen, I'm on a layover right now with my family at the London airport, Heathrow Airport, but I'm heading to Italy for 2 months. I'm renting a villa in Tuscany. Why don't you and your girlfriend come and spend a week with us? You can talk about personal growth. I'll share with you how to become a better speaker, share with you some of my tactics around finance, because he's a 2-time New York Times bestselling author on finance. And so I said, yeah, that sounds great. Next thing I know, my now wife, my girlfriend at the time, and I are rolling up to this incredible villa in Tuscany. And she says, what do you know about this guy, Garrett? And I said, very little. But I know I made a decision that I wanted to develop even better relationships with even more extraordinary people doing even more amazing things in the world. And this was a byproduct of that. So take Barker's advice. Stop waiting and just decide. Because the beautiful thing about decisions is it's not like a magic genie lamp where you only have 3 wishes. Decisions give you an unlimited number of wishes to start shaping your reality differently. Now, number 1 on my list of top 5 personal development books of all time is the Bible. If you had told me years ago that the Bible was one of the greatest personal development books of all time, I might not have believed you. But the more I studied consciousness, reality creation, and the laws of the mind, the more I realized, oh my God, the Bible is not just a religious book, it's a manual for how to create reality. And Jesus wasn't just teaching morality, he was revealing how to shape reality through consciousness, faith, and alignment with divine law. And the stories, the parables, the miracles, they're all metaphysical blueprints for manifestation and transformation. So the Bible isn't just a collection of ancient stories, it's a coded guide to how your mind creates your reality. It teaches that everything external begins internally. In Proverbs, it says, as a man thinketh, he in his heart, so is he. This is directly stating that your inner world shapes your outer world. Whatever you hold in your heart and subconscious mind, whether faith or fear or abundance or lack, it must become your reality. In Romans, it says, call those things which be not as though they were. This is the essence of manifestation. Speak, believe, and act as if what you desire is already done. The external world will always conform to your internal assumption. Sounds very much like Florence Scovel Shinn and Neville Goddard. Why? Because they were great students of scripture and interpreted it into their own works. Seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added unto you. Matthew 6:33. The kingdom is not some far off place, it is within you. Luke 17:21. When you align with divine truth and inner certainty, the external must adjust to match your state of being. Now, the Bible is filled with these essential consciousness principles, teaching us that what we hold in mind with certainty must eventually appear in form. So Jesus was not just a spiritual teacher, he was a master of consciousness and reality creation. And if you read his words through the lens of metaphysics, they become a direct explanation of how reality responds to belief. In Matthew, according to your faith, be it unto you. Jesus is saying reality mirrors your belief. Whatever you expect, you receive. If you expect struggle, you manifest struggle. If you expect miracles, you manifest miracles. Also in Matthew 7, knock and the door will be open to you. You don't have to struggle to make things happen. The universe is responsive. And when you hold the right vibration and certainty, the doors open effortlessly. When you pray, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. Mark 11. This is identical to the principles of Neville Goddard, the law of assumption, and reality creation. You must feel it as already done in consciousness first. The world will then shift accordingly. And Jesus wasn't saying these things poetically. He was giving us the exact formula for manifestation. And yet most people miss it because they think of these teachings as purely religious instead of universal laws of reality. The Bible constantly refers to a single, unified, divine force that permeates all of reality. It teaches that when you align with this force, you flow with ease, but when you resist it, you experience struggle, right? In Psalms 46, it says, "Be still and know that I am God." Stillness, inner peace, and surrender allow divine wisdom to guide you effortlessly. And this is the same principle taught in meditation, in quantum physics, and in flow states. In John 10, the Father and I are one. Jesus isn't just speaking about himself, he's revealing our true nature. We are not separate from the divine, we are co-creators with it. In Matthew 19, with God all things are possible. In spiritual law, nothing is off limits. The only limits are those we impose through belief. And when we fully align with the one Spirit without resistance, miracles are natural. The Bible isn't teaching that God is distant. It's showing us that God, consciousness, is within us, available in every moment, and it works through us. And so this book is not just about religion. It's about mastery of the mind, the laws of the universe, and the power of belief. And that's why I consider the Bible to be number one on my top 5 personal development books ever. So that's my list. But I want to know what yours was. What did I miss? Share with me your favorite personal or spiritual development books. Which ones have been essential for you on your journey? Which ones need to be booted off of my top 5? You won't hurt my feelings. That's not the point here. The point is for us to be on this journey together to help each other accelerate in our own unique path to growth. So drop a comment and let me know. And if you want more deep dives like this, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell icon. And if you're listening on the audio platforms, do me a favor, leave me a review. And most importantly, if you love this episode and you know someone who needs to hear it, pay it forward and share it. So I love you so much. It's been a pleasure sharing this with you. I hope you enjoyed hearing my top 5 as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. And I will see you in the next episode. Hey, it's David. Hop on over to davidbear.com. Click right here. There's also a link in the show notes, and sign up for our newsletter. You'll get immediate access to my free Mind Hack ebook, as well as a couple of trainings to help you master the inner game. This is a great way to stay informed and be a part of our community and be notified of special announcements. Click below, head on over to the website, get subscribed. If you loved this video, make sure you check out this one or this one, and I will see you in the next video.